On this episode, we're going to teach you guys how to take a heritage brand onto social and make it come to life.
With so many different platforms,
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter,
and their purposes evolving daily, navigating social media can be, well, complicated. Welcome to the Social Media Sucks podcast from Cubco.
Social media really sucks.
Where we unpack the latest trends and help remove the suck from social media.
Welcome to the Social Media Sucks podcast by Cubco, you guys. You're tuning in for a dose of marketing and to get what's happening in the ever-changing social media landscape. So today with me, I have our beloved CEO, Kubbernus.
What's up, guys?
And then we have Maja, which is the head of social media and influencers at Matas. So to give you guys a context here, Matas is one of the Denmark's most recognized brands within beauty, cosmetics, wellness, etc. And so it has a very strong heritage here in Denmark, where it was found in 1949. Today,
Wow.
Matas has...
Is it that old?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
So today, Matas has over 2,500 employees and 263 stores in Denmark. By the end of this episode, you will learn how heritage brand is living on social media and how they can monetize their social media performance.
Wow.
Okay?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. We have a lot to unpack. But let's start with you, Maja. Please tell us a little about you and what you do outside of Matas as well, since I gave this nice introduction of Matas. But who are you?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I've been bugging you, Chris, for quite a while. Like, please bring me on the podcast.
We're saving the best for last. Really. We don't want to come out too strong. We need to save some really good guests for down the line. Just so you know, that's our strategy.
Yeah.
We're okay, wait, we can't have her on too soon.
Engagement is low.
Yeah, engagement is low. Let's get Maya
you guys
on.
are being too sweet. I'm sure
Yes.
it's quite the opposite.
No,
actually.
it's not.
But well, thank you for having me. Yeah,
You're welcome.
I'm Maja. I'm the head of social media and influencers Matas, like you just said, which is always so weird for me. I always get uncomfortable by titles like that.
Really?
I'm always like, ooh, am I
You've
really?
got a nice title. It's good.
Yeah, it's cool.
But what that actually means is that I'm alongside a lot of other great people just doing the day-to-day work with our social media channels at Matas. I've been with Matas for 6 years now. Started as a project manager, social project manager. That was also kind of taking care of our Point shop, which I don't know if you guys remember, but yeah, we used to have a Point shop where you could use your Matas points to buy towels and weird other things. So we just talked about before we actually turned on the mics, this social media position was exactly what I really, really dislike about it's the social media and how it's evolving now, because it was a social media project manager position where I was also doing a lot of other weird things. I was also negotiating with brands, and I was also running a lot of other weird things on the side, because social was just a side hustle essentially. Yeah. So
would you say it's gotten much better now? Is it more it's a professionalized area, there's some weight behind it?
For sure.
That's good.
Now my team is a team of 6. Yeah, that's solely
In-house,
running social
great.
media. Yeah. So I'll say we really professionalized it, and it's because some has to do with the industry in general, but some also has to do with the leadership team that is in Matas now that really believes in the power of social, and we've proven it again and again. So I think it's a good combination.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's nice to hear, because I do think a lot of brands that are listening and social media managers might also be, inspired by that, because I think a lot of them are sitting in places that are it's just me and I'm doing everything and I'm doing, running around, and I'm also carrying boxes and, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can stick it out, and if you can grow your area and really show the value of it, you can start to put together that big team that is needed in social. So
you're kind of paving the way, right? Or pave the way for a whole team.
And it was a lot about prioritizing, projects that could actually make a difference, like money wise, all the time. And
because they want to see the money. They want to see like what's the return,
which is fair. I mean, I would be worried if my leadership team didn't care about these things.
Right.
So I think that makes sense. But that's because you can't do it all. Social is so widespread now that if you set out to do it all, you'll fail all of it. So you really have to know your goals and really prioritize. So if you want to grow your team,
that's a really fair point and a very good segue. Thank you for that, because I want to talk to you guys about Matas on social media. And you have actually 3 primary social media channels with 240K followers. So it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and then YouTube. And then I know you have other platforms, own platforms as well. But it's just with this big fan base in on social, and especially in Denmark, can you tell us a little bit more about how you treat these channels, and then what's your goal exactly you mentioned for these channels?
Yeah, well, our goal overall with social media is, we want to be the place to be for all our customers to hear about, get inspired about health and beauty in Denmark. So we want to have an exciting community, an excited community that, comes to our pages for news and inspiration and to share with us and the other people in the community. So that's the overall goal. We want to be, of course, the biggest one in Denmark.
Which you guys must be now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's your competition?
Yeah. We have great competition in Denmark, actually. Yeah. So which also kind of keeps us on our toes.
So specific brands as well, like
exactly,
the brands that you sell. Probably you're also competing for attention.
Exactly, and a lot of those are big international brands.
Of course.
So we're in a good spot because we're both doing pretty well, but we're also constantly getting pushed to do better all the time.
Yeah.
We're really inspired.
Yeah. Do you guys get competition from like a Sephora or like the more beauty like specific? Because you guys are also health and skin, and you're kind of a little bit more broad, right?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, Sephora is one of our competitors. We see Magasin Beauty, Elon Beauty,
Those guys.
Nice Hair.
To be closer.
Yeah. But also, like you mentioned, single brands that are really, really big because, we are, and also actually influencers, because the brands that work with us, they need to choose our platforms over influencers now as well.
That's okay. So that's interesting. I guess we'll get more into that as well about working with brands to actually create content, almost like an influencer would create content for them. Okay, but I guess we can get back into that because that's later. But
it's just also more, do you have any specific criteria for how you treat each channel? Like, do Instagram obviously does, but what's your kind of primary goals for these channels?
Yeah, well, they all kind of have the same goal, but we have kind of different personas attached to the different platforms. So I use Instagram as like our like a good first-hand impression. Like we want to look our best. We want to be the best versions of ourselves. Whereas Facebook is more like our authentic self, where there is also room for things that might not look as beautiful as things always look on Instagram. And then we have the playground where we can be our innermost self, like childish self. I guess
which
you can
is TikTok.
Which is TikTok. Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah,
I think that's a good breakdown, because I think that's also kind of how the platforms break out in terms of what they're good for. So you're really feeding into that also, which is great.
Yeah, because it helps us again, because I think all those 3 different platforms could probably do a wider range of things for us. But again, like to actually do well on each platform, we kind of have to hone in on, all right, what purpose this serve, and then we make strategic choices about what content we bring to what platform. So it's if we want to have all platforms do it all, I've seen for many years now that we don't really succeed with anything, whereas now where we are more specific about what do we want to do here, what do we want to do here, we see a better streamlined performance.
That's great. I think that's a good tip for anybody, not just heritage brands, but like understanding what you want to do per platform is just a really good way to look at it. And I think sometimes brands get caught up in, especially brands who have lower budgets, they get caught up in trying to do that too soon. I think you probably had a good journey towards doing it everywhere, like you said, like all things everywhere, all of the time, sort of thing. To quote that song, but basically, you know, you might start there, but as you sort of refine and sort of as you figure out how do we get more successful here, you quickly have to go to a place where it's like, okay, Instagram is for this, TikTok is for this, LinkedIn's for this, like, and having separate channel sort of strategies, right? So it's smart that you've done that. I think
Different
and it's a
content
good tip
strategies.
for anybody.
Yeah.
Especially heritage brands, because also they usually will have wide range of followers, like all over the age group, because you have so many people that have seen your brand and interacted with your brand and bought from your brand for many, many years. It's like, how do you cater to you can kind of do it via platform, almost like Facebook's older, Instagram's a little bit middle, you know, younger, and then TikTok's really young, right? So for the most part.
Do you have any synergies that you would like to, do you create any synergies, and would you like, where do you see more potential in synergies with these social media platforms that Metas is now on?
How do you mean?
Like, how do you combine all these channels? Do you have perhaps the content you want to utilize for a storyline you want to utilize for, you know, all the platforms, or do you really think about this goes to Facebook, this story goes to Instagram, this goes to TikTok?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I think our, you know, top funnel, really broad marketing campaigns, we run that on all platforms. If you've been following Metas closely for the past 6 months, you might have seen Terapo with Sofie Linde. And we have tried to run that across, like omni actually, like across all our different
channels,
touch points. Even the stores, our emails, on TV, everywhere we kind of meet the customer.
It's a brand campaign in some ways, right?
We of course push that on the different channels, and what I see again and again is you need to today do a version for Facebook and a version for Instagram. People that say to me, we created a social version. I'm like, no, there's no such thing. Or like, I'm sure, but it's not going to work. You know, we really see the power of a Facebook version, Instagram version. Also, just like the inventory on each platform right now is so different. So how you use the copy on Facebook and how you use it on Instagram to, for instance, create engagement is so different. So
that's a good tip. I think that's really gold. Like that's
exactly.
That you need to not just create a social version, like you need the individual platform versions.
You can optimize it for social, but you have to think about what each platforms then really need.
And then there's also organic versus ad.
Exactly.
Right? So it's another split out, which is like Facebook ad versus Facebook organic, Instagram ad versus Instagram organic.
And again, it's like knowing what your goal is with that particular piece of content, and then optimizing. For me, some pieces of content is not about the widest reach. It's about the most comments. I don't care if my reach is maybe only a third of what my benchmark is, but if I have, you know, that above benchmark percentage of engagement, that's what I wanted from that. So we don't measure our each individual content on the same 3 KPIs.
Right, you change it up depending on what you're trying to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's also a really good tip for those of you listening, is that like you have to look at it. Like, for example, oftentimes we meet brands who are trying to get like the click-through is their KPI that they want to get, but it's a video ad. It's like, are you really trying to get a click-through on a video ad? Like, aren't you trying to get them to watch the video? Isn't that the number one thing that you should be looking at here? And so like the kind of mixed like call to action in some ways. Like, so I think it's really smart that, you know, per piece of content, you really have to look at it and be like, okay, our KPI for this is X, and really go for that.
But again, it requires a lot of resources to be that granular with your KPIs and how you measure things. But
it's just the smartest way to do it, I think.
What about this, speaking of all these platforms, they also have different functions, obviously. What's your view on Instagram and Facebook's shopping feature, for instance? Does it create a value for a brand like Metas?
It really depends on which one. We've seen like the social commerce space for us is a really, really interesting development. We have tested a lot of different things in our local network. All the different Meta stores, they have their own Facebook page, as you know.
Right.
So that's mostly where we've tested different
Locally.
different shop features. Of course, we have the whole like paid setup, which is something that one of my colleagues he's running, so I won't speak on that too much. But I think also now the users of Facebook and Instagram are really ready to shop on app. So it's
and
a
the
good
experience is getting better, right?
So it's a good time.
I buy tons of stuff on social.
You do?
I'm always getting like called out on the podcast here because people are like, what are you buying? I am that guy that like will see an influencer post or I'll see something and I'll be, all right, click to buy.
I thought about you the other day. Well, I think about you a lot, obviously. Huge icon. But I bought something on an Instagram ad the other day.
And you're like, oh no.
Okay, I
You're
didn't think
suckered.
about it, but just once I saw it, I was like, clicked on it immediately and bought it. And then I was like, this is
This is
what
what
Chris
this is what
would
it
do.
feels like to be like Chris.
exactly.
He just buying stuff.
I thought
but
about
that's
that,
me.
but I mean, like, I saw the ad and I was like, this,
Wasn't it nice?
I gotta have
Didn't
it.
it feel good to be me a bit?
I was like, this must be what you feel when you're like the rush.
Yeah.
But
Then I was so proud of that ad also because I was like, this is targeted for me. I'm like, this is really specific and I'm a good target audience for that.
Was it like, hey, you?
No, it was just really demographics and it's kind of a way of living, I guess, that you that they tapped into, like exactly, country specific.
But
Gotcha.
because it made you feel seen, and I think that's
Exactly.
what social commerce can really do, because it actually, especially what we've been running like organically, the live shopping experience, it makes you feel a kind of kind of when you go shopping, it's also a social experience for most people, that when it goes online, it kind of takes away from that social experience. But we can see that participating in a live shopping session
It's
kind
more
of
social.
brings that back. And it so I think it's really fun, and there's a lot of.
Speaking of that, actually, let's talk a little bit about this in-store versus social media customer experience. Speaking of shopping, right? Because customer experience really contributes to the brand's reputation, and it's very important for many brands, especially when there's retail and there's stores, physical stores involved. And Maytest is really known for its customer service, advice, and guidance when you come into the stores, basically. Do you have any strategies then to streamline this customer experience you're talking about on social, and then how do you kind of create synergies between social and the in-store customer experience?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, including myself for a long time, thought that the way to do that was kind of bring the customer advising part into the platform, which it can be, but also feel like you need to be mindful that customer service is a different thing on social. So I actually think the commerce elements on the platform is actually how you do great customer service there, making sure to tag the product so the people know, like, what am I looking at? What's an easy way to get to it? Like, kind of providing the information there, because I think it's great to sometimes be available for advice, but because social is so immersive now that you can kind of replicate some of the feeling of standing in the shop, as talking with a person, but then again, it's hard for us, where I think you really need to think about what is customer service look like natively on the platform, instead of trying to take an element out of a physical shop that works really well in that space and try to apply it one-to-one on a social platform. Because I think, there's live, and we also have the engagement elements on story where you can ask a question, but it's still, no matter, you really have to use a lot of resources and social media. Like, if I was going to be there for a customer the way one of our materialista can be there in a shop, the content would not be for a lot of other people. So
it's very specific.
So I also think it's really important not to to really figure out what's the great customer experience in social.
But don't you think I think that's where we're kind of going with social, is that, brands are looking at it like they can kind of scale customer service in a new way. Which is, I totally agree with you. Like, when you get too many or many comments about certain things, like, hey, can this work for this hair type, or can this work for this or that? I think like aggregating that data and looking at it and going, actually, we should start making content about this specific thing. And then you can start to reference those pieces of content and say, go check out our piece on which, does this work for this and this hair type? Like, so I think there's a lot of cool things that you can do with that, and then start to scale it in some ways. And then I also think that one of the cool things I've seen brands do is like, and I'm not sure if you guys do it, but really loading the caption up with as much detail as possible. Like, these are the ingredients in it. This is because you know that you're gonna be met with, what's the price? What's the ingredients? Where can I buy it? Like, so like really like unpacking everything in that caption.
Yeah, for sure.
So that you're kind of preemptively sort of taking some customer service.
Yeah, you're right. And I also saw the other day that Instagram has launched the SEO. SEO,
so that'll also help there, right? If you got a lot of stuff in that caption, that it's going to help with the SEO of it as well.
But
Search engine optimization, for those of you who don't know.
No.
So I think we have some pretty smart listeners, but I don't know.
I think they will know.
Yeah. No, you think so? SEO.
I don't think they just watch for you and me. They watch for all.
Well,
the
maybe
goals.
you know. I did just for you guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what brings the boys to the yard.
Yeah.
The milkshake.
Which I guess is you guys.
What taste will it be? Bubblegum.
Bubblegum?
Yeah. I'm the bubbles, you the gum.
Yeah, okay, whatever. I have no idea what you've been smoking. Artie's like, what the hell is going on? Are you catching any of this?
She's nodding.
Yeah.
Like,
I have a question for you guys, actually. What do you think when I say then customer experience, that's in store? What about community management? Is there equal sign between the community management? That's the social customer experience. Can I say it like that? Can I phrase it like that in your mind?
Social customer experience,
or
like calling it that?
Community management, is there equal side between customer experience?
Yes, I totally.
And community management.
I think it's a totally underestimated area where a lot of brands should be. I'm calling you out there, brands who don't have any community management. It's atrocious. Like, you have missing on a huge opportunity to actually talk to your customers every single day. Like, I don't know how much, more obvious it is that they're there reaching out to you, asking questions, asking for engagement, and most brands are just like ignoring it. Yeah. It's a real shame.
Yeah, and I think to stand up for all those brands that you just shamed.
Oh, sorry.
I'm thinking
it's a resource issue.
Yeah, it's a resource issue.
I totally understand that. Like, I'm not crazy. I know that it's a resource issue, but I'm still.
That's why you hire agencies to do community management.
It's not that simple, but I do agree that I'm on your side as well. I want you guys to succeed.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, I'm so proud to soon be able to present our newest community management strategy.
Nice.
Yeah, we've hired a really talented young lady to do our community management because we know I've listened to you guys a lot. So.
Awesome. I was complaining. That's good. I'm so glad to hear that. But great. Yeah.
We just see a lot of potential there, and
untapped potential.
Yes, for sure.
Do you have any tactics to monetize this conversion from online to online followers to actual buyers when you're such a big brand? I don't know if there's any measurements you guys can take.
You mean from social?
Yeah.
To the store?
Yeah, convert online followers to buyers.
Yeah, there's a sales model, and I'm not sure I can actually say too much about that. But yeah, because we know so much about our customers, we can actually see who buys online, and do they also shop in the stores?
Okay.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, what does that customer journey look like, and how can we optimize to help them better, to be there for them on the whole journey? So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there's tactics. We just are not allowed to know.
No, I think, and also, I mean, you guys last year were the #1 e-commerce brand in Denmark. You guys beat, I think it was beat Boost as well, or Boot. What are they called? Yeah, Boots, BOTTZ.
Yeah.
Yeah, you beat them, or BOOZT. So, I mean, you guys have done a great job of kicking ass on the e-commerce side, right? There's no secret about that.
Yeah, because I mean, I think it's about like knowing our customers really well and them, like us never leveraging in the wrong way that we know so much about them, but actually they can see that we turn our knowledge about our customers into helping them and like, offering them valuable content.
Yeah, if you weren't doing that, I mean, it would just fall apart. Like, I think so you guys are doing the right things, right?
Yeah.
So it certainly seems like it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
That's good. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's touch upon something that we haven't really spoke about yet, but you're one of your personas, which is on really expanded on TikTok.
Yeah.
We know that you guys joined TikTok some month ago, a year ago, maybe
In
less than a
August.
year. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So almost a year. Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
August
Time flies.
19th
Yeah.
is the
Is
first.
that the day?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have to send cake.
Celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
TikTok
exciting.
cake.
Yeah.
Exactly. And stickers, decals. So Matas is one of the first brands to actually be on this platform as it's a huge heritage brand and one of the first actually on TikTok in Denmark. So let's talk about this transition. Let's talk about this transition that you have made with Matas and your team onto TikTok. This evolution of social.
Yeah.
Yeah. This journey. What's your what got you guys there?
Well, I mean, I think we created the Matas handle in 2000, maybe 19. So it's a long time ago.
Wow. So
Yeah.
at least you were following up on that.
Yeah, just because, so we've been kind of sniffing it out for a long time. But again, I think what actually kind of was finally right was the willingness from the leadership team to actually really invest.
Yeah.
So it's not like we've been oblivious to the potential. It's just that, again, I know
Priorities have to align.
Yeah.
I just know from bitter experience, if I spread my resources too wide, we won't see any progression. So it's just a matter of like being able to kind of onboard you guys, get the real expertise that was needed to kind of, when we did it, we kind of knew with a certain level of certainty that we would kind of succeed. So because we could have created some office that I see a lot of brands do with great success actually, but done some office TikToks about how we get coffee and how fun it is to work in Matas from a pocket kind of point of view, which is also fun. But I just,
You had other ambitions.
yeah, and I think that's not what, also kind of getting our brands on board, like we had to kind of create a setup that was more long term than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I've seen you guys really successfully do is that you've talked TikTok, meaning that like you went out to do it in Matas' own way with Matas' brand and like the sort of aspects of, okay, we are a heritage brand, meaning that we are for your mom, but we're also for you, and we're also for, so there's a wide demographic here. How do you speak to a younger audience without seeming like, hey, cool kids, like we're also cool.
Yeah.
And I think also the thing that's been interesting to watch your guys' progression is that you guys you've made the trends work for your brand without being totally off, and you've also shown what it is like to work at Matas, but also show what it's like to be a customer at Matas. And I think like that's, in my opinion, like it is really good content that you guys have made, and like, and I think you've done it right. So I think it's a good kudos to you guys. And I think like other heritage brands, if you're listening, I think like if you can make sure you don't just fuck up your brand and ignore your brand just to follow trends.
Yeah.
Have to
Like
stay true.
you have to stay true to your brand, which I think you guys have successfully done.
I think I sent you an email with like probably 5 lines about what I wanted to do on TikTok, and the first, like the very most important thing to me was that we still had to really stay true to our brand. And I didn't actually know back then that would be important for the reasons that I see it as today, but I just knew that we wouldn't be allowed to not, really stay true to our brand.
Yeah.
So, but I think
it's not only about luck, but I think it's more also about the mindset you go into with these strategies before you produce content that also dictates the outcome of it all, right? So I think it comes from somewhere of knowledge. And
yeah, I think I also when I talk to my colleagues in the industry about how they run their TikTok, I think how we invest our time is really important in terms of the success that you're talking about, Chris, because we spend a lot of time kind of talking about the different ideas that your team provides, and then we actually sit for hours to create the right kind of hook to Metas. So that's, even though it's something that I actually spend a lot of time on, which I think is worthwhile, because then now we're so aligned about how to create the right hook from some trend down to the brand that it's like today we had a meeting, and it was fairly short because we kind of know and Melina and the team, they know
the lingo
so well, what the hook
Yeah.
looks like. And
You got to get it under the skin, right? Like anybody that's working for a brand, I mean, it's very important that you understand and empathize and sort of feel it. And I also think the other thing that you guys have done successfully is be diverse without being overly woke.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's like, sorry, woke brands out there, but there is like a place where woke becomes really cringy and it doesn't fit with the brand.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you guys have successfully really like showed the diversity, showed that you guys stand for equal rights in different areas without being preachy and without being like cringy. And I think that's like a really smart sort of observation, I guess, for heritage brands that want to be more new age. It's like, find your places where it makes sense and don't go too crazy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad to hear you guys say that, because it's really difficult, because I experienced that no matter what we do, we kind of get yelled at, which is fair. And also, when we get yelled at, I learn a lot, and it's like, okay, we'll backtrack and then we'll do it differently
from customers, like comments.
Which,
but that's social. That's the social landscape, right?
So it's hard, but for me it's such a great development journey, to be honest. Like I'm so appreciative of people actually taking the time to give constructive feedback,
or just feedback
on like you guys, when you say it like this, it's hurtful for some reason, or can you please show the right shade for this kind of skin tone, and this and this. And I think it's great, and to be honest, that's what community is, like we talked about before, and it's so valuable that we say, of course, thank you for the feedback, and then kind of do better and better and better. But to find that balance that you spoke about, Kristen, to still kind of try to push the forefront of kind of being inclusive and diverse in our content. It's really
It's an endless battle.
It's hard, but it's also what I love the most about this work. It's so interesting, and you get the immediate feedback from everybody.
You grow from challenges, right? And can you mention any other challenges with developing this new tone of voice for Metas, who has such a strong core already on Facebook and Instagram, and then jumping on to TikTok? Have you met any challenges besides the board?
The biggest one is people saying, it looks great, you have a lot of views, but I don't get it. A lot of even people in Metas, they're like, I don't, and because a lot of it, like you said, is trends. So if you haven't seen the trend and don't really know what it means, you like, maybe like 60-70% of our content, you don't really understand it. And even like Melina and the team has done a great job of kind of following up on some of the things that we did that got a lot of traction. Melina, we made an eyeliner video where her voiceover was like, she was going to say voila, and then she said voila instead. And a lot of people was finding that very funny, and then we built upon that, and then I saw, when I show it to people, isn't this funny? They're like, I just don't get it. Yeah.
But that's us. Like, okay, I'm an old guy. I'm probably the oldest guy in the agency. No, actually, Jacob is. Jacob Kalmaj, our CFO.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like 2 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, there is this sort of Gen Z lingo thing. Like, there is a humor difference. There's a humor gap between the younger ages and
for sure.
our age and your age even, I'm guessing, right? Do you relate to your sister? Like,
No, not really.
no? Does she have like a weird sense of humor?
Yeah, she does. She really does. But I mean, she also thinks my sense of humor is weird and outdated, right? So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
But she's Gen Z from core.
So I find that often, like, the things that we laugh about are totally different. So that's probably what you experience.
Yeah,
is, like,
a lot of different times.
Yeah, it's because it's very, I would say the Gen Z is very sarcastic and just... It's funny to be funny in some ways. Like, it's funny for its own sake.
Yeah.
It's not like there's no insight of the joke itself. It's just because it's a joke, it's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, what are we talking about here?
It doesn't need to be like a funny point.
No.
Because then the cat fell on the ass. It's just like
they're
more,
also very good at twisting what's already there to kind of give it a new meaning, and then that's funny.
They're so creative.
Yeah.
Like, and really, like, they make me often, like, another thing that we have gotten a lot of questions about with TikTok in regard to TikTok is the 3-5 people that we've chosen to actually be the stars of their channel.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why we've had the success that we've seen, because those people, those 3 amazing colleagues, young colleagues, they're just so great.
Yeah.
They're
You
just
do have to have a certain it factor, an X factor to do it well. So that's another tip for you heritage brands. Like, find some people in your space, in your office, that have that. You can't just throw any old person on. You have to figure out who's going to click with the audience, right? So
that
I think
chemistry.
That chemistry. It's like, why have we invited U to the platform? I mean, for the podcast. I mean, she really adds nothing.
God,
But she has an X factor.
take me out then. See
Listen,
what happens.
no, it'll suck. That's why. Right? And that's why we invite guests like Maja, because they have an X factor.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys.
No podcasts are produced when I'm on vacation. I'm just saying.
Not true.
Has it aired?
Not
No.
true.
Has it aired? No. Okay.
Hara's going to replace you.
All right, it's fine. She's also good. That's fine. I can live with that. Healthy competition.
yeah.
But I want to speak a little bit more into you guys about this new way of production, because Chris, you have obviously touched upon it, but what have you also noticed in this new way of production when it goes to TikTok and versus what you guys are used to know for producing a lot of content, right?
Well, I think it's really important for TikTok content to at least look like it's out of the pocket. If you create content that's really professional, then you kind of have to tell, like, I'm in a studio because of this and this and this. You gotta have to be extremely transparent with what you do and how you do it, because otherwise it's not authentic. Yeah.
Right.
So and I think people think that because it's not a big studio setup, then it's easier. But it's actually not at all. Maybe at least not until you kind of get the hang of it, because it's a new how can I say, like, middle ground between really professional content setup and then doing it at home in your living room, which can be like anybody, Susanna and everybody. And then, like, right in the middle of that is like a new way of creating content that's professional but looks very relatable.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But that's the thing, right? Things that look effortless usually takes a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sleight of hand production.
Yes.
Sleight of hand, like, as a magician would have, like,
Yeah.
because you can see it actually, like, someone who's really native with TikTok shooting something versus somebody who's not.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell instantly,
Yes.
like, the camera, the way they move the phone, the transitions, the angles, the whole thing, it feels weird.
Yeah.
Right? But someone who's native with TikTok, you go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you really see it. But it is sleight of hand. It's behind the scenes. You don't really see it until you see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's weird.
Yeah, and just how close the camera is to your face, and like, there's just a lot of little different things that when I'm at the shoots, on the different shoots with Melina and the crew, I'm just like, oh, Whoa. Okay. Yeah. And I've been creating content for like years and years now, but still like this is a new way. And it's so interesting because I think it also pushes the boundaries on how you do content on the other platforms. And it really creates new requirements to also the talent that we see in the space. Yeah.
So lastly, do you guys have any advice to share for fellow marketers who want to get on TikTok? What do you have some advice for them?
I think the advice that I give most often is, don't reuse Instagram Reels and put them on TikTok. Create TikTok content, and then if it's really good, try it on Instagram Reels, but not the other way around. And I think that's a broadly given advice of many people who work on TikTok. So I'll give another one as well, and that's about finding the right people. You kind of have to really invest in finding the people with the right it factor, like who likes to be in front of the camera.
I think that's a good tip. I think that's I would add, like, you kind of have to be a little bit experimental. I think like you have to let your guard down a bit. I think like that's been what's been really wonderful about working with you guys is that you've taken our advice, you've like worked with it, you've worked with us to figure out the right mix of everything. And I think like it's a really good opportunity for marketers to play around, to figure, like, to not be so like hardcore, this is the line in the sand. Like, you have an opportunity to play and have fun and figure out things and laugh and produce and just go out there and kind of experiment with it. And I think like use that opportunity because those don't come around that often.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's my biggest advice is like see it for what it is that here's our chance to get into the laboratory and do some experimenting. And then you just have fun doing it. So versus maybe something like a Instagram strategy now that's pretty much, you can experiment a lot, but there's a lot, like you said, it's very higher end production. You want to show your best face. Like there's some of those things
glossy.
It's more glossy. So you're kind of like stuck in some of the hardcore brand guides and stuff like that.
And I also think like with new platforms, TikToks, we briefly talked about Twitch. Like if you're not open to learning and growing with the platform, then you're kind of tripping yourself.
If you're trying to force the platform to do something that it doesn't do.
Just be open to learn a lot. So
that's a good point.
That's a good point. Is there any areas, just my last question here actually, is there any area you think Matas could improve on social? Is there anything you haven't leveraged, or do you want to have better monetization or of any sorts?
Yeah, right now because especially Facebook and Instagram were born in a time where all the platforms should be able to do all the things. So we are trying to kind of reverse how we work with the platforms and kind of create more editorial strategies for both platforms and then invite brands into our editorial strategy. Right now, brands are, we run a Lancôme ad and then we run a e-cooking ad on kind of their terms, whereas we kind of want to create a platform with the customer in mind, like what would they like to see? Because then we can give our brands also more value from working with us, because right now they can as well run an ad anywhere else and put it as well as put it on our Facebook. But if we create an editorial standpoint where our content is just more interesting or more authentic or more believable or more anything that gives value to our end customers, then we will be better partners for our brands as well. And
you
for our
media.
That's well said.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we're kind of trying to turn that upside down right now.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I think it's very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. So today we have learned 6 golden nuggets from you guys, primarily Maja, the head of social media and influencers. So let me summarize these 6 golden nuggets, right?
Yes.
Why are you laughing?
I think it's awesome. It's so good.
Thanks.
6 golden nuggets, primarily from Maja. Great. That's great. I'm so
She's
glad
our
I'm
guest.
here. Yeah,
Let
of
her
course.
shine.
But like,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay.
All right.
So first one is have goals for your social media presence. A heritage brand like Matas is a place to be for the customers, get inspiration, have a community to share conversations and opinions. 2, have platform-based goals. You can have an ultimate goal direction for our channels, but have a platform-specific tactic and persona. For example, Instagram is a good first-hand impression. Facebook is a platform to be your authentic, yourself, and TikTok is kind of your playground. So make a strategic choice about what content to what platform. 3, focus on what makes sense for your brand when you think social media performance. Figure out your KPIs. Is it reach you care more about, or is it growth awareness, or is it brand engagement? 4, social commerce. Leverage the in-app shopping and live shopping experience. It helps your audience feel seen if you do the right targeting. And 5 is customer experience on social media. You don't have to bring what works in stores to social. You can kind of scale your customer experience by tagging products, provide information, make the customer journey seamless. And the last one, the 6th one, is brands on TikTok. Be authentic, experiment to find your voice, get insights from your community, understand your audience, lingo, speak it, and most importantly, create TikTok native content. And this really also speaks to all your platform. No one size fits all.
Wow.
So here you have it.
Holy shit.
Yeah, how to make a heritage brand come to life on social. Subscribe, leave your thoughts, your likes, your dislikes with us, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you guys for listening.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been the Social Media Sucks Podcast.